Hi everyone, it's Lisa Mears. Thank you for joining me today. Today's video is part of a celebration hop for the Not Too Shabby shop. The Not Too Shabby shop recently reached 10,000 subscribers on their YouTube channel, and Jamie over at the shop asked me to participate in this celebration. She is giving away over $400 in prizes as part of the celebration hop. There will be 11 winners plus a bonus prize that she's giving away. There is a list of rules down in the description box of this YouTube channel if you would like to find out how to participate in this celebration. So today's video is featuring Trinity Stamps 4-bar card and envelope builder, as well as the Hugs and Kisses 3x4 stamp set. If you are unfamiliar with 4-bar cards, basically it's a card that measures 3.5 by 5 inches. So it's a little bit smaller than your traditional A2 size card. The 4-bar card and envelope builder die set comes with layering dies and other dies for 4-bar cards, as well as a die to cut out an envelope. So let's take a closer look at this die set. Now all of the pieces are connected and I will cut those apart in just a moment, but you get this big word hugs. You also get the ampersand sign and the word kisses. There are also dies to cut out the word I, so if you wanted to say I heart you, you can do that. There's some hearts there in different sizes, and then there's also the hugs and kisses, so you've got the X and the O. And then you also have all of the layering rectangle dies that are within there. So I'll cut those apart and you'll be able to see those a little bit more clearly. And then you also get the envelope die that you can make a coordinating envelope to go with your 4-bar cards. I also picked up the stamp set. This is the Hugs and Kisses stamp set. It is a 3x4 stamp set that will fit perfectly on the front of one of these 4-bar cards. And I love this stamp set. The letters are so large. You can actually do some coloring inside of those letters. And I am going to be watercoloring a card today using this stamp set. I also picked up this 6x6 paper pad by Trinity Stamps. This is the Love Dani collection. You can see all of the beautiful colors and designs. There are some hearts and stripes and some suns and clouds, some more hearts and some XO prints. So it has a rainbow color palette. You have some reds, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purples. So you can see all of those pretty prints, lots of hearts and rainbow colors. So I will be using some of these prints in my cards today. So if you are interested in any of these products, I will have links to all of these products down in the description box below. So be sure to check out those links. And before I get started with this card tutorial, just a friendly reminder, if you like watching card making tutorials, be sure to click that subscribe button and turn on your bell notifications so that you don't miss any videos from me. So here I'm just using my wire cutters to cut apart these dies. I do want to point out that the word hugs, it can be cut apart, but I do not cut it apart. I actually leave those letters together. You'll see here on an upcoming card that I am going to use those letters, and it's easier for me to have them all connected. Of course, you can cut them apart if you wanted to and reposition them however you want, but I liked the way that they were positioned already in the packaging, so I go ahead and leave all of those letters as you see. All the other pieces to that die set I do cut apart. Specifically want to cut apart all of the inside pieces because this big round piece is the actual envelope piece to put your envelope together. So you've got to get those hearts out of there, and you also have to cut away all of those layering dies that are inside of this envelope panel. And there are 3 layering dies inside of this envelope panel, and they all layer onto each other. So here are the pieces that you would use for your envelope. So I just want to show you what these layering pieces look like. The larger panel is cut out of pink. The medium-sized panel is cut out of the blue. You can see how those layer together. And then the smaller panel is cut out of the white. So to make my first card, I am going to be using the Hugs and Kisses 3x4 stamp set. I'm just taking that stamp set. I'm using a black hybrid ink and I'm stamping this on to some Bristol Smooth cardstock. And I'm using a hybrid ink because I'm going to be doing some watercoloring. Hybrid inks are good with all kind of coloring mediums. You can use alcohol markers, you can use watercolors. It doesn't matter what you use, that ink is not going to smear. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Tombow markers. I'm just using 2 Tombow markers. I'm using a pink color, it's Tombow 743, and I'm using a blue color, it's Tombow 452. So I wanted my stamp to have a gradient from one color to the next. So you'll see that I'm taking my pink marker and I'm coloring only the tops of the letters in the pink. And then the bottom part of the letters is going to be the blue. And you'll see I'm going to bring in a water brush and I'm going to combine those to create a little bit of a gradient effect. So with the word Hugs, only the top portion is fully colored in my color pink marker. And then once I finish that, you will see that I have a water pen there on my table. That water pen has water in the barrel. So if you actually squeeze the middle part where the red is, there's a red rubber on that middle part. If you squeeze that, a little bit of water will come out on that paintbrush and you'll be able to watercolor and mix those colors together. If you just had a regular paintbrush, it will work as well. But here I'm coming in and I'm starting at the bottom of the word Hugs and I'm coloring up those letters in blue. You can see I'm leaving a white gap between the pink and the blue. And the reason for that is because I want to combine those colors using my water brush. So here, once I finish the word Hugs, I'm coming in with my water brush and I'm starting where the pink left off and I'm bringing it down into the white area. I'm not bringing that brush all the way down to touch the blue. I'm just bringing it down a little bit into the white area. Now I'm just squeezing the center of that water brush to put some water on the tip of my brush to get all of that pink off. And now I'm coming back in to the blue and I'm coloring up. So I'm coloring from the blue ink and coloring up into the white area until those colors meet. And then I'll repeat the process, just cleaning off my tip of my water brush and then just coming down from the pink into the blue again. So it's creating this gradient look from that pink to the blue and I love how this looks. Now you want to be careful that you don't squeeze too much water out on the tip of your water brush because if you have too much water, it can end up putting large water spots on your ink. And it could also drown out a lot of the color. So I'm using the paper towel there just to clean off the tip of my water brush, not only to clean off some of the color. So if I have pink on the tip of the bristles and before I go into the blue, I would clean off my bristles before I pick up that next color. Or I would use the paper towel as well to just clean off some of the extra water. So if I have too much water, I'll just dab it on the paper towel to soak up some of that water. So here with the word Kisses, I do the same thing, only I reverse the order of the colors. So I have the blue on the top and I have the pink at the bottom. And then I just use the water brush to connect those two colors to have that really pretty gradient look. I will color the hearts as well, so I'm just going to color the hearts, 2 of them pink and 1 of them blue. And then I'm going to take the smallest rectangle die and I'm going to die cut that out. So next I want to show you how to cut a card base for a 3.5 by 5 inch card. I'm taking a piece of cardstock that measures 8.5 by 11 and I'm cutting it to 5 inches by 7 inches. So here I have already cut the 5 inches and now I'm turned the paper and now I'm cutting it down to 7. And then with the second sheet that you get from that cut, do the same thing. So cut down at 5 and then turn your paper and cut at 7 because you can actually get 2 cards from this one piece of cardstock. Next, you're going to score these pieces. So I'm just taking out my scoring board and I'm putting it in my scoreboard on the 7-inch side, and I'm scoring at 3.5 inches. And I'm going to do that for both. So again, pop that in on the 7-inch side, so the long side is facing top, and then score it down at 3.5 inches, and then just fold at your score, and then you'll get your 4-bar card base. And again, that's 3.5 by 5 inches. So next, I'm just going to layer up all of these layers that I just created. So I'm going to glue on the Hugs and Kisses stamp onto the blue layer that was cut with the medium die, and then that will be added to the larger pink layer cut with the larger rectangle die, and then I'll add that to my card base. And then I'm going to add the Spectrum Noir Sparkle pen. This is just the clear, to add some glitter to the front of this card. Now, one thing I want to mention is that when you add this glitter to the watercolored stamp on the front of this card, that Spectrum Sparkle glitter pen will activate that watercolor again. So just be careful that you're not getting your pinks into your blues where you don't want them. So once you finish coloring over the pink, I suggest that you wipe off the tip of that pen onto some paper towel and then go into the blue and then add the sparkle as well. Now, if you wanted to, you can actually use that Spectrum Sparkle pen as your water brush. So instead of having a water brush, you can use that pen to actually put that gradient in that stamped image like I did earlier in this video. So here I'm just adding some gems to the front of this card, and once that is finished, that card will be complete. But now I want to show you how to create a matching envelope. So here I'm taking a piece of 8.5 by 11 piece of pink cardstock, and when you're creating this envelope, make sure you use a lighter weight cardstock. I'm using 65-pound cardstock just because it's easier to do the folding on the score lines when you're putting your envelope together. So I'll be using this large envelope die, and as well as this die here, you will need to cut 2 of those. So this smaller die, you will be cutting 2, and then the larger die, that's for the middle of your envelope, or the large part of your envelope, you'll just need to cut 1 of those. So once you die cut these envelope pieces, you will have some score lines. You'll just fold at the score lines on both of these panels. You'll also fold at the bottom of this larger panel, and then there's also a score line up at the top for the top fold, and I'll fold that a little bit later. So once the sides on these panels are folded down, you will apply some glue to the top of that fold, and I'm just lining up the side panel with the edge of the large panel and then pressing down that flap to glue it onto the large panel. Here I'm doing the same thing, so just lining it up on the edge and then pressing over that little flap that I folded at the score. Next, I'll fold in those side panels, and just on one of those panels I'm going to put a thin strip of glue and then bring that other panel up to connect it and just press that down. Then I'm going to put glue at the bottom panel. Just put a little bit of glue down there and then fold up to connect that to the body of the envelope. Next, you can go ahead and fold down the top. Just use your bone folder to make a score in that really well, and you can see how this fits perfectly your 4-bar card. So for my next set of cards, I am going to be using the dies, and I'm going to create a Hugs and Kisses card, or actually several different cards using the dies in that 4-bar card and envelope builder set. So I'm using 4 pieces of the heart pattern paper in different colors, and I'm taking the smallest die from the layering dies and die cutting the rectangle out of all of these pieces of pattern paper. Next, I'm going to take the Hugs die. Now remember, this die, I did not use my wire cutters and cut this apart because I want to have these letters equally spaced just as shown on this die. So I'm just going to place this in the center of these rectangle cutouts, add some washi tape, and run it through my die cut machine. Now what this gives me is not only the cutout pieces that I can use on a card, so I have the letters HUGS, but I also have the cutout hugs in that background layer. So I can use both of these on a card, and I did this for all 4 layers. So I'm going to start out by making some shaker cards using the rectangular piece with the letters cut out. So I figured that a piece of glitter paper would look really pretty behind this. So I found a piece of glitter paper that matches that purple in the heart paper, and I die cut that purple glitter paper with the same die that I die cut the pattern paper. So it's the smallest rectangle die in that set. And next, I also took a piece of acetate because I need to add some acetate to cover up the letters in the word hugs, because this is going to be a shaker card, so I don't want my shakers to fall out. It needs some acetate to hold them in. So I'm adding some glue to the back side of this panel, and then I'm going to add that panel to a piece of acetate. Once I add it to a piece of acetate, I'm just going to trim off the excess. Now, if you wanted to use that same rectangle die and die cut a piece of acetate and then just add that piece of acetate to the back of this rectangle panel, you can do that as well, and then you wouldn't have the acetate excess. But I just figured it was easiest just to do it this way, so I go ahead and attach the acetate and just take my scissors and cut the remaining acetate off the panel. Next, I'm going to take some double-sided adhesive foam strips, and I'm going to add foam all around the word hugs. After I add it all around the word hugs, I will add some foam to the outside of that, just so that that panel will lie flat on my card front. Make sure that when you add the foam that there are no gaps between your foam, that everything is connected and there's no holes, because you don't want your shaker pieces to fall out. Next, I'm going to add some sequins to the top of this glitter rectangular piece. Put them in the center of that glitter cardstock, and then I'm going to remove the double-sided adhesive foam backing. And even though it is double-sided adhesive, so that is sticky foam, I am just adding some glue. I always like to do that when I'm making a shaker card, just to make that bond stronger. So then I add that to the purple cardstock, and that gives me my shaker. Next, I die cut a piece of purple cardstock using the largest rectangle die in the set, and I'll add that shaker piece to the top of that solid purple cardstock, and then that piece is going to go on my 4-bar card base. So remember, the 4-bar card base, it measures 3.5 by 5 inches. And then to finish up this card, I'm just going to add some more of the purple sequins to the top. So I went ahead and created 4 total cards, 1 in each of the color schemes from the pattern paper that I created. So I have a purple, blue, green, and pink shaker card. And then I created envelopes to go with each one of those cards. And as you can see, that even though those cards are thicker because they are shakers, they still fit in these envelopes perfectly. So you can see how they just slide easily in and out of that envelope. For my next set of cards, I'm actually going to be using the letters that cut out from the pattern paper. So I die cut out 4 pieces of white cardstock using the smallest rectangle die in the set, and then I'm stamping out the Hugs and Kisses stamp onto those panels. Once I finish the first panel, I'll remove that from my Misti, and then I will just add the next panel in the same place. My stamp stays in the same place as well. I just ink it up again and stamp it down, move on to the third panel, and I'll continue doing it until all 4 panels are stamped. So once all those panels are stamped, I will just lay them out with their corresponding die cuts above them. I'm just gluing on all of those die cuts that I cut out of the pattern paper. Notice that when you add the pattern paper to the stamped image, you have a little bit of a black border that displays on the edge of those die cut pieces, which I really, really love because it outlines those pattern pieces really nicely, and I love how that stamped image provides placement for all of those letters. So if you don't have the stamp and you are just using the die set, you can just position those letters any way you want to on this panel. But I love having that stamp to use as a guide. So next I'm taking the word kisses and I'm going to die cut it out of the striped paper. This is just the reverse of the heart paper that I used when I die cut the word hugs. So I die cut it out of all of the colors and I'm just mixing up the colors here. So I have the blue kisses on the pink hugs. I have the pink kisses on the purple hugs, and so on and so forth. So just mixed up the colors. If you wanted to stick to all one color, you can. I just thought that by changing those colors and having the different colors for each of those words, it just made each of those words stand out a little bit better. So you can also die cut the hearts that are in the center of that stamp if you wanted to. I did not. I will come back to those hearts in just a moment, but before I do those hearts, I did die cut the largest rectangle out of some other pattern paper, and I'm just attaching the hugs and kisses to the front of the pattern paper. Next, I will attach each one of those card panels to a 3.5 by 5-inch card base. And it's just a white card base that I'm attaching that panel to. So once the card is put together, I am going to come in with my Nuvo Crystal Glitter Drops and I'm going to fill in these hearts. I love these Nuvo drops because they not only have glitter in them, so they are sparkly, but they will add dimension to these hearts when they are dry. So after you use these, you want to make sure that you let your card dry flat until they're completely dry before you start handling them. Notice I also put a drop of the Nuvo in the dot in the word kisses. So if you wanted to, you can add a cardstock piece or the pattern paper piece in that dot, but I chose just to use the Nuvo drops. So here are all of my cards put together. I hope that this video gave you some inspiration in your card making. If you like this video, please click that thumbs up button and be sure to subscribe for more card making tutorials. Once again, all product links will be in the description box below. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and have a great day. Bye-bye.